This was really an outstanding weekend for the first ever Big South Conference Freshman Basketball Academy. We had such an outstanding group of freshmen. It was a great opportunity for us as a conference to be able to help educate them on who we are, what's important to the Big South Conference, especially as it relates to the student-athlete experience. This is so important for them to understand that we're here to support them, and that's really what this is all about first and foremost. Secondly, we had great seminars, with media training, financial reputation, how you build, your financial reputation. The law enforcement people, what they did, providing their perspective on things, I think is helpful. The NBA and talking about professional basketball and what that is, what that means, how that relates to them. And then of course mental health awareness, mental health access, all really important topics that we wanted to be able to bring to them to help them in their transition from high school to college. And that's a tough transition for a student athlete. So we want to do our part to really try to help that.
We got to listen to a bunch of speakers. There was one about mental health, police enforcement, NBA and everything. And then today we learned about financial stuff and media and so I think we just got like a basis of understanding of how we can be successful student athletes.
I really enjoyed this weekend. I like how we talked about basketball. We had a chance to introduce the conference and meet new people. We also talked about things that kind of get like overlooked, like credit and mental health and things like law enforcement. That's actually carry a long way also.
First Citizens Bank has been an outstanding supporter of the Big South Conference for several years now. This is a great partner. They partner with us in many ways, and this is the latest example of them coming in, supporting our freshman basketball student athletes, supporting this basketball academy, and then providing resources for the student athletes to hear directly from professionals in the field about financial education, about credit scores, what that means, what it is, how that's going to impact your future, budgeting, saving money. What happens later on in life, looking at retirement. So for them to be able to come in and provide that expertise for people as freshmen coming into college really is going to help them in the future. Heck, I wish I had those kinds of opportunities and that kind of education coming in, because we all need to know how our money can work for us and how it can benefit us in the future. If you are taking care of these things as a college freshman, you have laid the groundwork for a very successful life and a very successful career.
We love speaking with students of all ages, but we love college students especially because they are just starting that financial credit journey, and being careful and being very thoughtful with your credit and your savings plan. You're taking your credit and your savings and it's brand new. It hasn't had anything bad happen to it. So putting those great habits into place can really have a positive impact on our athletes going forward as they're getting more income and they're putting together their financial plan for the rest of their lives. And it's something exciting for us to do. We love coming and talking with students, and so we're so happy with the partnership that the Big South has with First Citizen.
So today I was talking more about how mental health impacts student athletes and why it's important that they utilize the services that are available to them on campus, because everyone goes through some type of mental health challenge. 1 in 5 people have some type of mental health concern, but 1 in 5 of those people don't seek help. And so it's important that students know, from transitioning from high school to college, that things could happen from death to just grief, the loss of lots of things, their jobs, their homes, relationships and all of that. So I tried to really talk about some of the things that I felt like most college students are dealing with.
With the freshmen in the Big South Conference, we mainly discussed just safety, things to do and not to do when approached by law enforcement, specifically during a traffic stop. Just making them aware of what to do, being safe, why we do the things that we do, how they should respond, and to just further, just bridge the gap in terms of community and police relations, specifically, like I said, with the student athletes of Big South Conference.
I spent time today with your men's and women's freshmen student athlete basketball players to talk about the NBA, potentially transitioning to the NBA and the WNBA. But most importantly, in my opinion, we talked about the life lessons that can be learned through sport, through basketball in particular. It's a beautiful team game. We talked about the importance of being a good teammate, the importance of relationships, especially in the sports industry, the importance of being a lifelong learner. And it's those experiences that I learned as a student athlete, and hopefully the student athletes that we spend time with today will be able to take from their collegiate experience. Because for most men's and women's basketball players, their competitive basketball career will end when their college career is over. But at the NBA, we sit atop the basketball ecosystem, and we take seriously our responsibility to develop the game and to develop the young people who are a part of the game. And we want them to be successful not only as basketball players, but most importantly as they transition to life beyond college and beyond competitive athletics.
Well, we talked about a lot of things with the student athletes, but the one thing I wanted to make sure that they understood is that when they get in an interview setting, they're not just representing themselves, but they're representing their school, their coaches, their teammates especially, their conference. And so there's a lot of things that you may get a very basic question, but there's a lot of things you need to think about as you respond to that in a very short amount of time. So we looked at a lot of clips, had a good discussion, observations about responses by some student athletes in their conference, and we did some interviews as well, some mock style interviews, just to get the feel for, just to get exposed a little bit to what it takes to do a TV, radio, or print interview.
Came in thinking we were just going to learn about, basketball. We learned a lot about just being a student athlete in general, and like things that would help us in life in general, getting through our 4 years of school. So I learned a lot.
I was coming here, I was expecting like a little basketball, but it was more than basketball what I really expected, what I really liked. And secondly, I enjoyed playing Connect 4. That's the second part. At the social Piedmont, I enjoyed playing Connect 4.
My favorite part was last night when we went bowling, and because we just got to interact with the other student athletes as well, and I got to meet a lot of new people that, I'll compete in the future, but we still got to make those relationships.
Our freshman student athletes are, so bright and so on top of things that, I really felt good about their interaction, their questions really being insightful. And I thought our presenters did a good job really bringing them into the conversation. To have role playing when we were talking with law enforcement and how they're dealing with individuals, when they have interaction. To have role playing during the media training and how do you deal with a camera, and a microphone stuck right in front of your face. Those were all really, really great opportunities, great learning experience, and our student athletes responded very well.